Did you know that you could read sections 58 and 59 as covenantal texts or as temple texts? Let me give you an example. Some of the saints who had been converted back in New York and Ohio have now made their way down into Missouri, which God has defined as Zion. So they're in Independence, Jackson County, and here's what God says in section 59. Behold, blessed saith the Lord, are they who have come up unto this land with an eye single to my glory, according to my commandments. There's a very interesting little tiny word in there that we may miss, and it's up. In fact, it's with the phrase, come up. Now, if we think about temple language, particularly in the Old Testament times, before temples were built, people would go up to mountains to encounter God. You think about Moses. That's a great example. Eventually, temples were built on mountaintops or were symbolic mountains where God would descend to meet his people, and the people would come up or ascend up the mount of God to be with him. You hear the phrase Mount Zion. And I think it's interesting that we have God saying, you have come up unto this land. I suppose there may have been a rise in elevation from, say, St. Louis out to the Kansas City area, but I don't think that's what God's talking about. I think he's using the symbolic language that he is designating the land of Zion as a holy spot, as a symbolic mountain that we climb up, make the effort to get up to God, and he descends or condescends to be with us in a covenant relationship. Now, I'd also like to point out that there is a covenant pattern that shows up throughout scriptures. This pattern is not obvious, usually, unless somebody's shown it to us. So let me point it out here. And you can see there's 6 parts to this covenantal pattern that God introduces himself, reminds people of the great deeds that he's done. He then asks them to be loyal and faithful to him, and he lays out covenantal stipulations or commandments, witnesses to the covenant, and then he goes and has blessings and curses associated with that, and then it gets recorded and put in a sacred spot. And you can see all the different places in scriptures where this shows up. In fact, I haven't listed them all, but I invite you to consider looking at sections 58 and 59 as a covenantal text for the latter days. What is God asking us to do? What covenantal instructions does he provide for us so we can show our love, our faith, our loyalty to God, so that we can have all the blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that he freely has to offer if we're willing to come into his embrace. And the only way we can find a fullness of those blessings is by fully accepting and fully living all the commandments that he's given us.